We're already late. Let's just get into the show. All right, everyone, welcome to the Toplofty Lounge. Let's get into the show about video games tonight. Let's do it.
Oh yeah, this is Sci-Fi Snob, and this is the Top Lofty Lounge. You're in for a smooth show for you today. Oh yeah, baby. In the 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, baby. Yeah, here we go. In 11, 10, 9. Oh yeah, baby. Here we come. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, all my fellow snobs and snobettes, to the Toplofty Lounge, episode 67. It's been that many already. 67. It's not elevating the conversation. It's conversations for you, the elevated. Welcome, fellow snobs. This week on the Top Loft Lounge, we're going to chill and we're going to go into a different area for the show, one we haven't really dug into in depth before. We're going to be talking about video games and specifically 4X and grand strategy type. And we might go into other ones. If you in the chat, you've got something you want to talk about and are a special guest, if we know anything about it, hey, we'll bring it up. But before we do that, let me bring up my co-host who's clicking away. He is the Atari 2600 ET cartridge to my Mass Effect 2. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Cam didn't want to do this segment today, but I said we're going to do it anyway. Cam, how did you increase your science fiction your IQ this week?
Well, as I mentioned last week, I've been delving a little bit more into the fantasy world, but today I did visit a local bookstore and picked up a copy of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which we had discussed as possibly one of the earliest sci-fi, debatably sci-fi books, at least.
Yes, we have in the past. We've discussed that. Yes.
Yeah, it's one of these, nicely packaged illustrated versions. I think I have a copy of it somewhere floating around, a regular paperback, but this one was really nice. It's like $10. So I might read that again soon. And then I also looked at some sci-fi board games that they happen to have at the bookstore as well, but I didn't buy anything. I just, and as I mentioned, I had the pain of going through a garage sale this past Friday and Saturday, and I actually was able to sell about 5 games, 2 of which were sci-fi ones, as I recall.
That's too bad, because as I mentioned before, I was hoping that you wouldn't sell anything, so I could eventually get frustrated and you just send them to me for free.
Send me a shipping label and I'll package something up for him.
All right. Wow, he's being nice tonight, guys. What's going on? What did I do this week? Death Angel Shadow is pushing me to get the collected works of what's his name, the Cthulhu guy, who wrote all that stuff. And I'm thinking about it. I haven't done it yet. And it's a hole in my sci-fi that I'd like to add to.
Are you talking about H.P. Lovecraft?
Yeah, Lovecraft, of course. Yeah,
Okay.
Lovecraft, his stuff, which is it's kind of sci-fi. So I've been mulling that over. But the big thing is, well, a couple things. I mean, I tried watching the Alien Earth television show again. I screwed. I watched episode 2 before first, which is why I was going, "What the heck is going on?" So I rewatched again and go, "Oh, this is how the hell did I make that mistake?" So I watched episode 1, and I mean, some of the big YouTube science fiction, popular media called pop culture guys have been slamming it, and it seems a little weak to me. There was some big, huge plot holes and some weird stuff, but I'm probably going to try and go a little further just to see for myself. But it's not super great so far. I mean, the effects are not bad. It's got the look of Alien, Cam, that retro futuristic, dirty look in some, it goes far trying to, live up to that portion of it. But again, I'm a big story guy, right? I like good story, and the story seems a little weak so far. Anyway, and I finally got the junior snobette to finish Return of the Jedi. We've watched the end of it, and she seemed to like it. She wants to. She goes, "Oh, I want to watch the latest movies next." And I'm like, "No. We're gonna watch the prequels next." She was like, "Well, I want to know why they're so bad because you keep saying they suck." And I go, "No, you need to watch something that's a little not so bad yet."
Well, that'll be interesting to see if, having watched it in the original release order, if she comes to that conclusion or not.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was thinking when I was doing that, I was like, "There's somebody was online, the guy who does the voice for I think Star Killer in the some of the video games was talking about you should see it in this order," and he basically says you should go with 4, 5, and then go and do 1 and 2, and then Clone Wars, and then 3, and then go to 6. And it's been more impactful. But I'm not going to be able to get her to watch all the Clone Wars and all that stuff.
Oh, well, I
had trouble doing
that.
this one.
Yeah,
I had trouble.
Great.
I know, but it's like 7 seasons. I had trouble getting her, through these 3 movies. So I'm just going to go.
Don't watch TikToks. You'll have plenty of time.
Yeah, I mean, she's got school and stuff. I can't just sit down. You're watching these movies. It's got to be like 1 movie a week, maybe, sort of stuff.
Okay.
But anyway, I'll do them in the order that they were made and see what happens. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Okay. Shall we jump right into it? I think we've kept Al is he's in the green room. I think we've kept him sitting back there.
Yes, let's
chewing
get
to
our guest.
Okay, so remember we have a guest, so let's try to be nice to our guest, everybody. James is already making fun of me. I think some snob. I was saying I'm not snobby enough or something. I'm not sure. What's that referring to? Maybe he's referring to the B grade Alien spinoff, which is, it's a good point. It is a B grade. It seems kind of B grade to me. But anyway, Cam, did you notice we're up to 623 subs?
Amazing.
Inching up there, one at a time, one sub at a time. All right, that's enough about us. Let's get in. Al, welcome to Al from across the pond. Thanks for coming on the show, Al. Introduce yourself, and yeah.
Good morning.
Morning. It's nighttime. What are you talking about?
This is some weird sci-fi time travel stuff going on right now because I woke up on Monday and now it's back to Sunday. It's a strange sort of situation. So, thanks for inviting me on. It's I've watched some of your streams. Very interesting, very snobby, much more highbrow than I can get into. But
we appreciate you saying that. We know it's not true, but.
It's kind of true. It's kind of true. I'm no polymath with anything. So, I'm Al, and I run a strategy video game podcast called Critical Moves, and I've been asked to come on to talk about science fiction in video games. So, hi. I'm here.
Yeah, and like I said, we kind of want to focus. Al's your main thing you focus on is 4X and grand strategy types. So I thought we'd go there first. We might, go a little bit wider or whatever. And I'm open to the chat, but yeah, and we don't have to stick with science fiction only games. This, like I said, this is new. I don't know how much our audience cares about video games, and
They should care.
Should care. They should, yes. We've got 8 people watching, so maybe some more will show up, but that's around our usual. It's not as bad as anime, right, Cam? That's what you're gonna say.
Yeah, that didn't work out too well, but it's likely that everyone has played some sort of sci-fi video game in their lifetime. So I think this should be good, and I'm interested to hear what we have to say to enlighten me as to where things are at right now.
Yeah. So, and we're going to talk about, there's some Star Wars stuff. There's some, that might be of interest. We'll talk about that one at the end, near the end, Al. Now, Al, where in the part of Britain are you from?
The freezing north.
The freezing north. Are you, so what are, you're
very
not really.
cold northeast.
You're not, are you British?
Oh, yeah.
You're actually British. Yeah. You're not Scottish. You're not Irish. You're not.
No.
You're an actual Brit.
An actual Brit. I don't class myself as English. There's the whole.
Oh, okay.
Let's not get into the politics of it, but I'm British, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so you're not English. You're not Irish. You're not Scottish or whatever. I didn't want to be insulting because I know that the Scots hate hate everybody and the Irish hate. I don't know. Like there's a bunch of. No. Okay. I don't remember.
Yeah, absolutely. No.
Yeah, keep your opinions to yourself, Canadian.
We don't. It's hard to
figure out.
Child of
the universe, that's all it is.
It's
child
hard
of the
for
universe.
Yeah, it's hard for us colonials to figure out what's going on over there.
It's hard for the people that live here to figure out what's going on here as well.
Yeah. They still call us that, Cam. They still call us. They refer to Canadians derisively as colonials behind our backs, not to our faces.
Well, I'm a rebel, so that's
rebel scum. Yeah. Well, at least Al's here to class up the place with his British accent, so that's good. That's 2 in a row. We're trying to class up the joint.
That's true. We're really relying on the guests from the UK.
We have been lately. Yeah. All right. Okay. So I guess we'll jump right into it. Al, do you want to get started? What about? I thought we would start off with a definition of the difference between 4X, grand strategy, some of that. Just to get people, in case people don't know.
Okay, well, I mean, I'll start with a disclaimer. We got this wrong completely. We did on the podcast episode 41 of our podcast was on the state of 4X games and where it's going, whether there's a future for it, and we got panned a lot about our understanding of it. So we went to another podcast, Explominate, which is a dedicated 4X podcast. And I was talking to some of the guys there, and I said, well, would you be interested in coming on and explaining to us exactly what they are? So they did, and that's our episode just coming out on Friday. But I now have a very deep understanding of the differences between the two games. So people often get them confused, but 4X is explore, expand, exploit, exterminate. That's where the 4X's come from. And it was a phrase that was actually coined by a video game reviewer. It isn't something which was, well, Shadow's asking what's a 4X game. So there you go. Explore, expand, exploit, exterminate.
Yeah, the chat can be a little bit behind, right? Because we're on a little bit of a
delay.
So all the things good in life.
That's right.
All the things
that Conan likes, right?
Yeah.
Basically Conan.
Yes. So
and a classic example, it's not science fiction, but the Civilization series, which probably everybody knows about.
I would imagine so. Yeah, it's certainly the most classic example. But the first 4X game was Master of Orion, which was out in 1993, and that's where the 4X came from. It was the review from Masters of Orion, which is where the 4Xs came from. So I guess the way to think of it is that you build from nothing. So you could be dropped in a sci-fi example. You're dropped onto an unexplored planet, or you start on a planet and you have got a galaxy to explore. Whereas grand strategy, which is often confused with 4X, is about managing an existing empire. So I find often it's very difficult to find really good grand strategy games in a sci-fi setting because it's based upon you knowing what's actually going on.
Right.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Grand strategy, you have an empire with existing relationships, and it's about managing economy. It's about managing policies, politics.
Well, I would suggest that probably the most well-known grand strategy game would likely be Hearts of Iron. I mean, it's not science fiction, but would you kind of agree with that? That's somewhat the most well-known grand strategy, or no?
Europa Universalis. That's
Okay,
a grand strategy series, because you start you can start as the UK, you can start as France or whatever. So you start with an existing empire which you manage and explore the relationship. So Hearts of Iron does fit into that particular genre as well. Yeah.
All right, but you'd say Europa Universalis, which is a bit older, I believe, and I think it was the 90s or something. But
yeah, there's a fifth one coming out. If not this year, then next year. So we're on to number 4 now, and number 5 was announced recently. So that'll be coming out.
Right.
Hopefully soon.
All right. Good. Anybody hopefully everybody gets that in the chat if you didn't know that. Yeah. And we'll get to some of these questions later, like Ashes of Singularity. We could talk about that one. Yeah. But
I mean, to summarize, 4X is I wonder what's out there. So you're discovering what's going on. You're building your empire. Whereas grand strategy is how do I manage what I already have?
But it can include some expanding, right? As well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And then of course, and a really good example of a science fiction game is Stellaris or Stellaris, depending upon where you're from and how you want to say it. And this is a 4X game where you start with a single planet and you go out and you explore the galaxy. But then once the exploration phase has ended, it almost becomes grand strategy after that, because you're managing your empire, you're managing your relationships with other empires as well. So yeah, I love Stellaris. I've got something like 5,000 hours in the game on Steam. So you've played it, right?
Oh, I have. Yeah, definitely. I've got. How much time do I have in that? It's not 5,000 hours. Nowhere near that much. 700. That's pretty high.
You have better things to do than me with your time.
Yeah. Well, I probably maybe I spend a little more time playing. Maybe I won't admit to saying I have better things to do with my time, but yeah, I put. I'm not an expert at it.
No.
Only barely scratched the surface of it, really, to be honest. But they keep changing it. I mean, it's 8 years old. They keep making changes.
They do, and this is we talk about Stellaris a lot on the podcast, and it's their model. We often ask, will we ever see Stellaris 2? But because of how much they've pumped into the first one, and because of the amount of mods which are available, it'd be very, very difficult to make a sequel that would be anywhere near as complete as the original one.
All right. Well, look. Oh, I feel better. It looks like we don't have completely. Weatherman is our most loyal viewer. He's been here from the beginning. He's always shows up. He's got 1,200 hours. Beats me. Wow. It's good to know that we do have some. Maybe this isn't going to be as bad as the anime show. And even Death in the Shadow has it, and he doesn't play it that much. But there's tons of mods.
Definitely play it more.
There's tons of DLC for Stellaris.
There is, yeah. And if they have a subscription model Stellaris now. So if you wanted to, I think you can buy the base game for, it's normally $10, often on sale, but they have a policy around the price of their DLCs, and they'll never price them below 50% of the max price on sales. But you can subscribe, and I think it's maybe $10 for a month, and that gives you access to all of the DLC. So a lot of people's way of playing it is they'll say, right, I'm going to play Stellaris this month, so they'll subscribe for the month, play it, and then cancel the subscription, and then you get access to everything. But this is an issue. It's bloat. It's a case of, can I play a game and enjoy that game, or do I need every single piece of DLC and all the expansions that have been released in order to enjoy the game to its fullest? But that's something which we've discussed a few times on the podcast.
Yeah, I like to get everything, but it would be like $300 or something to get all of it. And I've got a couple of DLCs. I usually wait until they announce the second one, and then when the second version comes out, then they usually knock all the stuff down or have a deal like $20 and you get everything. But by then, of course, everybody's onto the new thing. But I kind of agree with you in this case. I don't know if Stellaris will ever get a Stellaris 2. Maybe, when they finally have reached the end of the engine. I mean, I'm not a programmer. I don't know how that works, but maybe at some point where they're like, we can't do anything with this engine anymore. But like I said, it's been what, 8 years, 9? It's been quite a long time.
It has been. I think it may have been around, maybe 2014 or something like that it was released. And you're right. It is a case of it's getting towards the end of the engine, which is why in update 4 that they did for Stellaris, they changed the way that pops work, because people were complaining about getting lag. Because if you think it's, if you think handle it. Yeah, exactly. So rather than making Stellaris 2, they simplified some of the computations going on in the background in order to make the game run better. So that's probably the way that they are trying to extend the life of the game. But eventually you have to move on. Technology moves on. We have multi-core, multi-threaded, all sorts of things. And I'm not technical. I'm a fan. I'm a consumer of media. So I don't understand how they're made and how everything works in the background. But they're going to have to move forward in order to take advantage of the technology which is available to us.
Yeah. So what I would maybe like to ask or talk about is, part of what we want to do is we want to get our audience onto, if they science fiction media that they might not have known about, might not have heard about, that might interest them. So I'm thinking maybe we should sort of dig into the, just sort of mention at least, and maybe talk about the differences between the various science fiction 4X strategy games out there. So I would suggest, I don't know how much you want to talk about this, but all the Stellaris-like games, the various science fiction, the Moos, the Master of Orions, those kind of things. Do you want to go that way?
Well, I haven't played them all, so
that's okay. That's okay. We can still,
so bear that in mind. I mean, I think that video games are a fantastic way of consuming media and entertainment. And the reason being, the way I look at it is that if you, you were talking about the Aliens movie, the Aliens TV series, Alien Earth, and I've been watching it, and it's okay, but you are just watching what somebody else has created. Whereas with a video game, the way I like to think of it is that you're hand in hand with an author who's writing a book. So they set the scene, but then you write the story. And I think that interactive entertainment is the way forward, far more than movies and TV. But that's just my opinion, of course.
Yeah, it is more interactive. What about so are there any others in that vein that you've played?
Yeah. So Endless Space, the Endless Space series.
Mhm.
They so this is a 4X based in the Endless universe. So you've got Endless Space, you've got Endless Legend, and if anybody who's watching has played Heroes of Might and Magic, which is very quest driven, there's a lot of gameplay similarities with this, and it's a turn-based 4X game. You start with your first planet, and it's you're going out to explore the stars, and you encounter other civilizations out there. So it's about conquest, it's about expanding your empire, but it's also about the relationships that you manage with the others that you will discover as well. Because a lot of the themes are the same. It's just the setting changes ever so slightly. It's one of the things that we talked about when we did our episode on the state of 4X games was, where's the innovation? It seems to be, you have this one game and it's very similar to another game with just some changes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as a Shadow is saying that they're inspired by tabletop RPGs. Yeah, they were inspired by the likes of tabletop war games, like Warhammer and others in that vein. It's a turn-based game system.
Right. What about, have you played any, how about Sins of a Solar Empire? They recently released a second one of that. I mean, I think it was over a year ago now, but
they have, and I played it. I played it briefly, yes, and it's an RTS game. It's a real-time strategy game. I think that it doesn't have the depth that your traditional 4X or grand strategy game would have. There's much more of a focus on the tactical combat side of the gameplay rather than the empire management. So the different genres are very fluid.
Yeah.
Games will often touch on several different genres all at the same time. It could be turn-based, it could be real-time, it could be 4X, it could be grand strategy. It could be a combination of them, of all of them. If you look at the Total War games, which are historical, but then you've also got Warhammer Total War games. These are a combination of 4X, of grand strategy, and of RTS as well. So it's a very fluid medium.
Yeah, I mean, Stellaris is also, the time is ticking away to real time. Yeah. Have you played some of the other ones, Galactic Civilizations?
Yeah, I think that that's very Stellaris-like, but it's a little bit more complex than what Stellaris is. I think Stellaris was, yeah, I think so. I think Stellaris was a way of making the 4X games a little bit more accessible. They're very niche. I think they sit in a very niche part of the gaming community, and Stellaris is by far the most popular of them because it's more accessible than what Galciv is.
Galactic Civilizations never really grabbed me. Just something about the system.
It never grabbed me either. It never grabbed me either. I'm a fan, of games. I enjoy playing games. I want to play to be entertained and to relax, and I don't want to often have to wrangle with spreadsheets all the time. But a really good one, which I think that people might enjoy, is Terra Invicta. So this is one of the few examples of a grand strategy game set in the sci-fi. Set in the sci-fi world, and it's based on Earth, and there's an alien invasion, and you play the part of one of the nations of Earth at the time of this alien invasion, and you have to manage your relationships with the other nations of Earth, as well as dealing with the threat of the invaders. So a lot of the themes are, science fiction based. They're about invasions, or they're about galactic exploration. I think this is something which has always fascinated humans, hasn't it? Really, you can go back to I mean, what was Jules Verne did his the book about was that the journey to the moon? He took a rocket to the moon. So you go back very, very far, and we've always had this fascination with space and what's beyond the planet, and these games allow you to explore that.
Yeah. Terra Invicta. Yeah, I have that one myself. I've kind of been waiting to. They're supposed to have a fairly big update that was going to come out. Terra Invicta is. I have a copy. It's in. It's still in early access, so it's still being worked on. I think it's completely playable still, but they were working on an update with increasing and putting something in. I'm not sure if it's come out yet or not, but I was kind of waiting to give it a try and. Do that, like dig into it, but it's fairly complicated. But yeah, I think you've done a pretty good job. I mean, that's basically how the game is. It is you're one of 7 factions. We've figured out it's there's some aliens. You kind of discover that, and then you need to decide how each faction has a different idea. Defeat the aliens, work with them. Become their slaves, or all kinds of different stuff. So you're competing with the other factions, plus you're also as well the aliens. And like as I said, I've only dug into the first little bit of it, but it's you launch rockets, and there can be battles up in space eventually, and all kinds of stuff. But you got to work your way up. I think it's quite a different. I mean, it's definitely in the vein, but it's quite different from the usual Conquer the Galaxy stuff.
It is different, and I think this is the beauty of 4X games and grand strategy games, because you don't have a defined goal. It's a case of, as you say, each faction has a different focus. Are we going to work with them? Are we going to be political allies? Are we going to go and conquer the world? And I think that you can play in a way. It's the same with Stellaris. When you'll have, anybody who's played it will have known you get to this empire creation screen where you choose: are you going to be xenophobic? Are you going to be pacifist? Are you going to be religious? Are you going to be militarist? And you can design your species and your empire to reflect your play style. And a lot of people play Stellaris as a role-playing game. So how would I approach this particular scenario if I was the leader of this empire? And it gives you, if you think, if you're playing Call of Duty 37 or whichever version we're on to now, you go into the game and you've got your single aim, which is to shoot more people than shoot you. Whereas with the strategy games, with the 4X games, with the grand strategy games, you can go into the game and say, okay, I'm going to set my own objective rather than a predetermined objective, which is set by the developers of the game. It gives you that freedom, and I love that freedom.
I want to mention one more, and then I want to go back to Stellaris in a little more detail. What about Distant Worlds?
I haven't played it.
Oh no,
I'm aware of it, but I haven't played it. No, it's very in depth, isn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is you can give up. Okay. Distant Worlds is my favorite space themed 4X of the Stellaris, Sins of a Solar Empire, Endless Space vein, for a couple of reasons. But I mean, I guess I could lay those out for you, and then I was kind of, maybe you would defend Stellaris, and I would we could go head to head with that sort of. But Distant Worlds, yeah, it is a little more complicated. But the thing is that you can turn over over the entire game to the AI to play it, and you can set up certain aspects of it, and it could play itself. So as complicated as it might be, it can actually be very simple. You can be like, you could set the game up and say, okay, I just want to be a fleet admiral and move my fleets around, and you could let the AI do all the background stuff for you.
Yeah.
And you could just fly around like that. I mean, people tend to run it like a standard, 4X, where you do. Sometimes I turn over the diplomacy to the AI and stuff because I want to just kill everybody anyway, and move the fleets around. I kind of usually let the AI design my ships and stuff, but you can get into that and design your own ships, and it's somewhat rewarding in there. But it is my favorite, but it's for a strange reason. It's my favorite because, first of all, the economy is it's all in the background. You get you can do sort of true economic warfare. What happens is that you're running the government, and so you can buy and sell commodities. But what happens is that you run. Let's say you run this planet. You have a space station on there. It builds ships. Well, the civilian economy runs in the background, and the civilian economy will come to you and you build them ships. They'll pay you for it, and then they will start using those ships and start going around and harvesting resources for you, trading them. And you can buy those resources, but you tax those resources, so you get your money mainly from taxes. So if you want to do economic warfare on an enemy empire, you can technically go into there and you can do piracy, destroy all their civilian ships, scare them away. They don't want to go there because it's too dangerous, pirates. And of course, there's pirates in the game that can do that to you. So, there's that very big sense of a true economy. I never really, I understand how it's done, but I was like, I collect gold and then I sell it for stuff. And that's not really how governments work. They basically just tax everything that moves and use those taxes. So it's got this economic model underneath that you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about, but it affects the game. You're like, how come I only got this much in taxes this year? Oh, well. It must be those pirates. Let's go out and kill those pirates, and then things go back. So that was that aspect of it, and I love that aspect. And the second aspect that I really like is I always felt that there wasn't enough sense of the emptiness of space in these games, and even I think Distant Worlds. We're talking about Distant Worlds 2. I think Distant Worlds 2 is the best of all the games that does that. And even then, it is not, the planets are basically 20 times bigger than they should be. But you can zoom in and zoom out, kind of like Supreme Commander, that same type of idea. Yeah. And you get more of a sense of scale when you're like, okay, you're out in the galactic map and you're like, okay, I'm gonna scroll into this planet, and then you scroll in, and then you get to the star, and you have to still scroll in, and then there's the planet, scroll in, okay, there's my space station. You get much more of a sense of the grand scale of things, and even then, like I said, it's not 100%. But I always appreciated those two aspects of Distant Worlds. It's my favorite. I don't know if you know Das Tactic. YouTube.
No.
He's an Australian guy. He does these type of games. I think it's his favorite. He does a bunch of different games, but he's been on the internet forever.
Tim on our podcast, he speaks very highly of Distant Worlds. Distant Worlds 1 over Distant Worlds 2 for some reason. He prefers the original. I think was there a change from 2D to 3D between the two games? I think that might be it.
It's I think Distant Worlds 1, I did get it near the end of its life cycle, and I had to watch to figure out how to to play the game. I had to watch YouTube videos and figure out what was going on. And you had to there was a mod that changes the way that the UI was set up, which you had to have. It was just like, what the heck is going on? And there was 8 DLC at the time, and you're just like, what the heck's? I prefer Distant Worlds 2. It's much easier to get into, and they focused on making it so it's not so difficult to understand what's going on. That said,
but it's still not easy, though, is it? This is the thing. Yeah, it's still not easy.
It's still not easy, but it's worth it to me. And I didn't have to watch a video to figure out what was going on. It was much, way more intuitive. And it is 3D, but I don't care that much about that. It's much more intuitive. I would say I would say no. Distant Worlds 2 is way better. If you're going to get into that, you like this type of games, Distant Worlds 2 for sure. It's way better than Distant Worlds 1. You'll have much easier time getting into it, much more satisfaction. I think the games are very similar, other than, of course, the DLC. Like, there's just so much for the first one, but and so many mods and stuff. But they're working on that. It's slowly. No, but anyway, that's my. And not to say that Stellaris is bad, but Distant Worlds 2 is my favorite, and those are the two main reasons. The combat's pretty good too. Like it's quite interesting. You can kind of zoom in, and you can set your ships to do. They never normally fire on their own, but you can sort of set your ships in there, follow in. You can set the camera and follow a fighter in as it goes into attack a battleship or whatever. You can sit there and you watch the stuff shooting at each other, different weapon systems and stuff. I mean, you can do the same in Stellaris too, but
you can. But I think you're right. It's this scale which they have to make these games accessible. So you can't do scale. You can't do like a real life scale, because the distances are so vast, aren't they?
Yeah, I would like to see closer to a real scale, but just to get that sense of loneliness and thing. But it would be hard to do. Things are more limited in Distant Worlds. You won't have hundreds of ships blasting each other, so it's a little more limited that way. So you get a little bit more out of your ships and stuff. But it's not. You're not going to be that huge. Like in Stellaris, where you've got 100K of ships blasting each other or more. But Distant Worlds 2, my personal favorite. Not to say that Stellaris is bad. I'm sure I probably have more time in Stellaris than Distant Worlds 2. But of course, Stellaris is more.
It's more accessible.
It's older too. But not to say that it's not as good, or it's just been around longer. Okay, go ahead, Al. Defend Stellaris. Go. What I want to do, I'm sorry, I don't really mean to get you to defend it so much, but what I would like to do is sort of like highlight the differences between the various games, like some of them, and why I would, you or I or whoever would prefer this one versus that one. That's kind of why I like Distant Worlds too. I kind of laid that out. But what about Stellaris would make? Like, why would I play Stellaris over something else? What does it have that's different than the other stuff?
It's very difficult to draw a comparison when I haven't played Distant Worlds 2.
Yeah,
isn't it?
But why would you pick Stellaris over? What about that one game is?
Why did I pick it? Because I'm fascinated with the idea of space exploration and the idea that there's other. This is I guess one of the reasons why many people get into science fiction is because they're fascinated by the idea of going in and encountering other species out there in the wide galaxy, and Stellaris allows you to do that. And as I said, a lot of people will play Stellaris as a role play. So I am the Empire of Man. We've discovered faster light travel, or we've discovered the hyperlane network, and we're going to go out and explore the galaxy and encounter alien races and form relationships with them, or sometimes fight them if they're not particularly friendly. And it allows you to play. It gives you a freedom to play the game how you want to play it. So a lot of my favorite playthroughs on Stellaris are as pacifist empires. So you're relying upon diplomacy,
really,
rather than there's one of the ways you can play it with the different ethics for your civilization is that you can't go to war with people. You can be attacked, but you can't start a war of conquest. You can only defend yourself. And it changes things. It changes the way that you approach the game. Rather than going out and trying to paint the map the color of your empire, you are trying to consume or bring other empires into your fold by forming alliances, or by making them subjects of your empire. And then if they're subjects, do they stay as independents who support you, or do you eventually make them part of the greater whole? So the freedom that comes from it isn't a game on rails, and I think this is a problem we have with modern gaming, is that you are given an objective and you're given a limited set of tools, and you go out and complete that objective. But with 4X games, with Stellaris, with Distant Worlds, with other games of that ilk, it seems it's more a situation of, you say, here are your tools, now go and do whatever you want to do. So it's free.
Yeah.
It's not free, but you have freedom.
You have freedom, yeah. So
freedom
actually,
isn't free, right?
Yes. So actually, that's what I would agree. I would agree with you 100% on that. I think that's Stellaris's biggest advantage or difference it has over other things in the same genre, is that it's a very the ability to sort of role play a certain empire or race, species, whatever. As an example, you can pick just about any trope you could think of, and some you probably couldn't think of within science fiction, and go out and play that. Like, pick something, I don't know, like the Daleks or some sort of machine race that has taken over. It's killed all the biologicals on the planet and took over the planet, and now it's going to expand into the universe. And you can pick that and play that. The storytelling elements of it are very strong.
Yeah,
I know. Would you? I mean, you'd probably agree with that, I guess. But.
Absolutely. You're right. And with the whole modding scene that you have with Stellaris, the chances are that if you know of a science fiction empire or race or trope, you can go into the game and you can find that within the modding scene, and you can play as that. So there's Star Trek, there's Star Wars, there's Warhammer 40k. You can play as any of these empires, and a lot of people get a real buzz out of that because these are their favorite universes to explore. And you can go out and you can be a part of that story rather than just having someone tell you what happens. You can go and make it happen yourself.
Yeah, I heard that they had there's a big, like I said, Star Trek, Star Wars, and a 40k. I don't know if is there a Babylon 5? We do another show on Babylon 5. I think there might be a Babylon 5 mod as well. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check that.
Yeah, there is. I mean,
there is?
There's
okay.
As in I think all of the races which appear in Babylon 5 you can get in Stellaris, and you can be in a situation where you would be able to download a mod pack which would feature all of the Babylon 5 societies, races, factions, and then you can set up the game to only have those factions in it.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, everybody starts at the start of the game with a single planet.
Right.
So I watched Babylon 5 when it first came out. I mean, you're going back a long time. I haven't watched it since. So sorry.
Well, we watch it every Wednesday. So
yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
So I'm sure in Babylon 5 you have dominant empires. You've got the big bad that everybody has to fight. So of course in Stellaris you don't get that. You don't get the setup that you would get in the Babylon 5 TV series, but you can play as the different factions that are in Babylon 5 and see how that universe or how that galaxy would evolve.
I would say that, like, to me, that I think, the biggest, like I said, the biggest thing in Stellaris is the story elements, and they've got tons of various events and things that happen in the background, and I think it has more of those than anything else. Now, Distant Worlds, you can do that too, and there are some podcasters I watch that occasionally do that, but it's much more you've got to sort of do it yourself, right? You're like, okay, I'm going to play this empire, and they are we're going to fight everybody and try it. So you have to kind of role play it yourself, but Stellaris will give you sort of much more of the tools to do that and set yourself up that way. So you've played a lot as a pacifist in Stellaris, eh? I've never really tried the pacifist side. I kind of go, middle of the road. I think I have to just. I really have to just win a game, like be like completely dominate. Like I can't even do that yet.
It can be frustrating. It can be very frustrating playing as a pacifist empire if you're set on expansion. Well, there's the way that it's described is you either play tall or you play wide.
Yeah.
So if you're playing wide, it's about conquering as many different solar systems as you can, bring them to within your fold. And playing tall is about developing what you have. So having a small empire which is extremely well developed, extremely well defended, where you utilize all of the resource which are available within your small empire. So that you can play tall or wide, you can play pacifists, you can play militarists, you can play as exterminators, you can play as a hive mind whose goal is to go out and just consume the rest of the galaxy.
Yeah.
So
other games, like, you know, for Distant Worlds has, I don't know, 12 sort of main or more races, but and you know, there's one of them are though, you know, one of them is a hive mind, and you know, the robotic, and they're very typical for any type of these games. But yeah, Stellaris has so much more freedom to do that, and the amount of it amazes me that basically you go into Stellaris and you can basically find every science fiction trope that you could think of, right? Fallen empires, the machines that want to consume everything, that hate, you know, want to wipe the galaxy clean of biological life. You name it. They have it in the game itself. And you could set up a race that mimics that by your choice of ethics and that kind of stuff. So
you have almost infinite choice of how you want to play the game and who you want to play the game as.
Okay, I would say that now. So I kind of wanted to, when we're talking about these, I kind of wanted to highlight sort of the differences in that, you know, if you know the viewers are like, if I like, you know, this type of thing, I might prefer this game over another one. You mentioned Endless Space. My suggestion for Endless Space would be that, it's not as big as the other, of course, but I think that the unique, and I'm curious if you agree or not, the unique thing about Endless Space is I think that the races in it are all play somewhat quite differently, and they kind of change the game a little bit. It's not. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's based in the Endless universe. So Amplitude is the developer of the game. So in Endless Legend, and Endless Legend 2 is coming out this month, I think, or next month. So it's based in
they're both fantasy based.
They are, and Endless Space is the science fiction version of Endless Legend, and all of the different empires play very differently. Some will have a militarist focus, some will have a diplomatic focus, some will have a science focus. So you can play as a particular empire that is to your liking, but it doesn't give you the same freedom that you would get in the likes of Stellaris, where you can design a bespoke empire based upon there's infinite choice. So, but Endless Space is a much more narrative game. You know, there's quest lines that you can follow for each of the different empires. It's very, very similar to Heroes of Might and Magic in that respect, where you have hero units. So you will have a hero and you will follow their quest line. So
I would agree with that.
Completely different to, not completely different, but a very different experience to Stellaris and what sounds like Distant Worlds as well.
Yeah. Distant Worlds is much more like, Stellaris, but not as narratively driven, and some differently. I kind of highlighted the major aspects that are different. But yeah, I'd say that Endless Space is I guess my point was that it seems that some of the races play, like, they kind of change the way that the game is. Like, instead of, I believe I can't even remember the name of the race, but there's a race that, I don't know, is it like you fire some sort of seed at a star system and then it grows a tree or something like that. So it's just a sort of very different way of conquering the galaxy, so to speak, or settling as opposed to the usual spaceship and colony ship. So it's got a little bit different that way.
Yeah, I think what they did was they introduced different mechanics for
Yeah.
each of the different races in terms of
that's the way I think to say it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some. One of them is into hacking, and you will have cloaking technology and things like that. So it changes the way that you would approach playing the game.
Yeah.
But for anybody who wants to try 4X or grand strategy games, Stellaris is the number one choice for me. I think it is the best 4X game out there at the moment. Out across science fiction and fantasy and real world, just because of the freedom that it gives you, but also just how accessible it is.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. It's the most popular. It's as like Weatherman checked and he said there's 5,000 mods. I personally prefer Distant Worlds 2. Is better, but there's you can't get Endless Space 2 is the one I was sort of speaking about. You can't it's kind of like you can't go wrong going with the big cheese. And Stellaris, they've done their work. They put the effort into it. I was going to say they're the McDonald's of of the games, but I think that's not giving them, that's maybe implying that the quality is lower than it should be, and I don't think that's true. The quality is there for the game, and it is fairly accessible, and one of the more accessible games of this type. And I mean, it's good. It's probably the first choice.
I mean, I think what Weatherman's saying there's 5,700 Babylon 5 mods.
Oh, just no, that can't be.
There's 34,000 mods for Stellaris.
It can't be 5,000 Babylon 5 mods. Wow, that's way more popular than I thought. Wow. You'd think, Star Wars, Star Trek, you'd think would be the most. But all right, well, I haven't looked into it. I haven't gone enough into the Stellaris yet to go to the mods.
Really?
I haven't. I've barely scratched the surface of of the present game. He says yes, so he's right. 5,000 Babylon 5 mods. Jeez, that's a lot.
I've always played modded. Because there's UI mods that make the game so much easier to interact with and to explore.
All right. Well, I'm obviously lacking in my knowledge. I'm going to have to go into the mods.
Do it.
And stuff.
Go and have a look. Have a look at the most popular ones.
I still haven't finished. I'm still trying to. It's like going, okay, well, Stellaris has here's another aspect I didn't mention before, which is interesting. It'll have I guess there's a few mid-game crises, but it'll have like a big end-game crisis, sort of a giant, some sort of giant threat to the galaxy. And I haven't even seen all of those. I mean, I've had the game since near its beginning, but I haven't seen all of those. So I'm kind of like, I'm trying to, see most of those ones already before, the game. There's just so much content for that game.
There is, and I think this is one of the criticisms of the game is that it's very early game heavy in terms of all of your exploration, all of the different events that you can come across. You kind of cover them all in the early game, and then once you've established your borders, you've butted up against your neighbors, that exploration comes to an end. And then in the mid game, as your population increases, this is an issue with the technology behind the game. You get into a situation where you can often get lag as your empire grows and the population of the galaxy goes up. And a lot of people don't get to the end game because this isn't a game you can just pick up and play for a couple of hours. It's an investment of time. Somebody mentioned in one of the comments, if you sat behind a screen for 8 to 12 hours a day, it's difficult to then come and want to play in front of another screen. But it does require some investment from you, but it is so worth it. It is so worth it because you are writing your own story. You get to not just read somebody else's story, you get to make your own.
Yeah, there's just there's so much. This is pretty I've defaulted to watching YouTube videos that suggest interesting interesting empires or styles of play to play, like build an empire with this and then try doing this, like your suggestion about playing pacifist. So I've defaulted to some of those to try to go like, geez, there's so much in here. What am I going to do next? I don't want to play an Emperor of Man again and just try to, weasel my way into the galaxy. Like that's let me do something different. What should I do? Should I play aquatic? Should I play a rock thing? Should I go with the machines and should I be evil machines and wipe out those dirty meat bags, or should I be a more nicer machines that think of my biologicals as pets and blah blah blah, right? So I've been like, there's a couple of YouTubers that put out, try this, try that, and here's a good, I've done this, or they do playthroughs of those kind of things as well. But
I think that one's the Rogue Servitor.
Rogue Servitor
where you were developed as the AI to care for the biologicals, and you take over and you keep them as pets. So it's about you need to keep these humans, or whichever your pet race may be. You've got to keep them happy. You've got to your entire reason for existing is to make them happy, and then of course you take it to the next level, which is where you will go and you will capture more pets. So you want to take over the galaxy, but not by exterminating everybody, but by transferring them into cyborgs, by bringing them into your empire in that way.
Or you could populate a galaxy with all sorts of machines that want to exterminate everything, and then eventually you meet each other and exterminate each other, or you're not exterminating in the right way.
No, but the mechanics behind it can be very very interesting in terms of if two machine empires will tend to favor each other. So if two exterminator factions come together, which are both machine exterminators, they won't exterminate each other. They won't be the best of friends, but they will see in each other a kindred spirit, so to speak, and set out to annihilate everybody else rather than each other. One of my favorite playthroughs was, as you mentioned, aquatic. It was as a symbiotic, aquatic, pacifist, religious empire. So there was two. You had two main species, and they couldn't exist unless there was a matching pair. They required each other to exist on any planet. And there's so many different ways to make it so much more involving than just playing as humans and this is Earth and how do we go and explore space. I've never played Stellaris in 7,000 hours or 5,000 hours, whatever it was. I'll tell you exactly how many hours it was, but I've never played as a human faction.
No, it's my default, but I kind of got to get away from it. Yeah. So what would you say? I guess are you playing with Stellaris with the monthly, you using all the DLC, or do you have certain favorites, or?
I don't have the most recent two.
Oh, so you got everything else?
But I've got everything else, and each one introduces different elements to it. May introduce a different end game faction. There was one that introduced the galactic assembly, so diplomacy was taken up a notch in terms of you had this galactic council, which you could rise up and become a council member, and then you could actually become the empire of the galaxy and take over the galaxy in that way. So I don't have all of them, but I've got most of them. I actually want to go play now. I actually want to go and play stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, let's end this. I'm thinking, oh,
Okay.
maybe I should go after this. And
Let's go
in the
play.
I'm in the middle of a game, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should go. And yeah, there's quite a bunch of there's a DLC that has you play as a corporation.
The Megacorps. Yeah,
Megacorps. There's one that adds bigger ships that are blowing up planets now. There's a couple of the other. The latest one that they're working on, supposed to be out soon, is we didn't mention this before, but there's it's kind of similar to the sort of the psionic part of it. It's kind of like the warp in 40K. If our viewers know, you can tap into you could always do this from the beginning, but there's another DLC coming out soon that is more detailed into this. I'm sure you know more about it than I do.
Yeah, so there's ascension perks. So as your empire develops, you can ascend. You go down a particular path, and the shroud has always been the one which is the least used. So I think that the Secrets of the Shroud is the new DLC, and I think that the idea is to make it more desirable, make it more popular.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just have a quick look through the DLC list, because Death Angels is asking which ones would I recommend.
I would say, I only got a couple. I would suggest, and you can, when you're looking through, I would say it's probably, I think Utopia is kind of everyone says that's a for sure. Maybe the machine one, one of the machine ones, because that gives you the, much more access to some of the machine stuff. Yeah. If
I was to pick four, I would say Utopia, Machine Age, Overlord, because Overlord is one that allows you to take other nations as vassals or other empires as vassals, and finally Nemesis.
Really?
Because Nemesis is the one which it gives you the chance to become. You mentioned about the end game crisis, which is one of, I think there's 4 different ones which can occur at the end of the game. Nemesis allows you to become the crisis. You become the end game crisis.
Everybody has to fight you.
And depending upon the path that you've gone down, there's different ways for you to become the end game crisis. But ultimately, you bring about the end of the galaxy, and it causes everybody else to unite against you in order to end the crisis.
Yeah. So I have of the sort of, there's kind of 2 different packs just for people. Like there's sort of these story packs, and there's sort of the DLC that kind of changes the game and adds a lot to them. The story packs add different stories and storylines and stuff, and then they can be quite good too. They're perfectly fine. I just for myself, I've got Utopia, Apocalypse, and Federations.
Yeah, there's actually 3 different types. There's that. So you get story. Yeah, you get story packs. You get species packs as well. So they introduced aquatics as a species. They introduced necroids as a species. So you could go and you're an undead race who feeds on the life force of other biologicals. And then you have your major expansions like Nemesis, like Federations, like Megacorp. So that there's they keep putting out these DLCs because this is how Paradox are making their money. This is their entire business model is around DLCs. And because Stellaris is so popular, people are still buying them.
Yeah.
And the first one came out in 2016, or it's been such a long time, and they're still doing it now.
Yeah,
it is a trap.
Yeah, it's a trap. I got to pick up Megacorps in the Machine Age and at least start. And then,
It's always a situation where we said let's go and play, but I'm aware that season 9 is due out. As in the next DLC as part of season 9, it is due out very soon, and it's also a case of, do I play now or do I do I wait for the next one to become available and then play? And this is the situation. If you're not in the ecosystem all the time, it can be overwhelming to think, well, where do I drop in? What do I need to be able to enjoy the full Stellaris experience? Because it looks like there's so much, but you can play the base game and you can enjoy the game just as the base game, and everything else just adds additional flavor.
Yeah, I would suggest that there's tons of I would just go on YouTube and just do a search. If you really if you can't decide, there are people that just do their entire channel is Stellaris, and you can simply just go and Google up what DLCs I can get, and they'll rate them for you. They'll say these ones are the best and these ones are the worst. And you can take that for what you may. You can find people who will say these are the best, the most fun races to play as, or the top 10 role playing things that I've done in Stellaris. I've made an for example, like Weatherman says, I have made this reptilian imperialist race that took over the galaxy. That's a good, here's one, and or you can do this or that, or this machine, whatever. So there's lots of different ideas out there. If you can't think of your own, you can just go. People have thought of it already, and go and copy theirs or change it or whatever. So there's lots of people out there that'll help you.
Yeah, I've just put in the chat. Montu plays. He's probably the best.
Montu, yeah, he's the biggest.
Yeah, he is the biggest and the best Stellaris YouTuber. So if this has kind of triggered something, you think I want to explore this more. Go and a couple of hours and explore Montu's channel, because he'll tell you how to play, the best ways to play, and importantly, what you need in order to enjoy the full experience. So I can't recommend him enough.
Yeah, I think he does some. He used to do some videos where he would play as a certain race, and he would, it would be almost like watching a movie in a sense. You could see his game, and then we did this and that, and a bit of a storyline.
And he also does challenges. So he does the one system challenge. So can you win the game just by remaining on your one planet?
Now he used to be involved with some group where they brought like 30 guys together or something, and they all played different aspects, and they kind of went all head to head. I think he was part of that. I don't know if they still do that or no. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I'm sure.
Yeah, I used to do so. They you can go and watch 4 hours of a video where he's talking, and most of it was done live, or various parts where he'd get together and he'd talk about what he's doing, and then they would eventually build federations with other players, and they would all get into their little, and there'd be like 4 or something different big groups, and then they go after each other and that kind of thing. So there's such a huge scope in the game. We talk about it. We have a kind of like an inside joke on the podcast where we mention Stellaris every single episode, and it's almost got to the point where we try not to, because it is so overwhelmingly present. I saw that video, and you guys failed to still mention it.
Yeah,
twice or something.
I think we when we did the 4X one, it's like, okay, you can't mention Stellaris, and I think it just happens automatically because it's so present in the genre.
Yeah, it is the biggest of the the 4X Grand Strategy sci-fi games for sure.
By far,
yeah. Okay, well, we had. Is there anything you else wanted to mention about Stellaris? We're already at over an hour into the show.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's fine. It's fine. It's no problem. We had all these things to talk about. I'm like, that's a lot of stuff. I don't think we're going to even get through a portion of it. But that's good, because then we can have another show and talk about more. Is there anything else you wanted to mention about Stellaris?
I don't think so. Have we covered all of the questions?
If anybody has any other questions, you want to throw it in. If not, we're going to go to. We can almost go to our last topic, but I think we're going to have you back. We're going to have to talk about more. I'd kind of like to talk about things that are coming up that might be of interest to the. I think we could probably fill the rest of the show just with that. We were going to talk about some of the classic RTSs and stuff like that, but I think we probably need to wait for that. Why don't we go to talking about, like I said, things that are upcoming games that are of interest to you, preferably with a science fiction background, but it doesn't have to be. And it can be any style. I've got a couple on my list that I've been watching that I mentioned to you, but I'm curious as to what you are sort of looking forward to. You want to start? You know what? How about I make a suggestion? Start with this has kind of been big. Dawn of War 4.
Oh man,
I don't know much about it. I haven't played any of the previous ones. I think maybe I played a little of Dawn of War 2 or 3, 2 maybe, but I'm not very familiar with them. So I know about them, but I haven't played them much. But
yeah,
go ahead.
Okay, so the Dawn of War series started in 2004, so it is 21 years old, and it was the first time that Warhammer 40k was brought into real-time strategy, and it was done so well. It was such a fantastic experience in 2004, and last month they released the definitive edition. So Relic, the original developer, have upscaled it to 4K and improved the game, and it is just an absolute delight. And I'm a huge fan of Warhammer 40k. Always have been. I actually have the original rule book from, I think I got it in 1989. So you're going back a long time. That I've been a fan of the lore and the tabletop and the whole setting. I think it appeals to my British sensibilities because it's very grim, dark, and very oppressive, and what it's like. That's what it's like over here.
I like it for that aspect too. There's no science fiction IP or world universe that is as grim and as dark as Warhammer. And I don't know if you Cam and I are a fan of. I don't know if you've seen Space King, but we're a big fan of Space King.
I haven't.
You haven't seen Space King?
Oh, no, I'll have to.
Listen,
what is it?
It's a video series. It's only 2 episodes of some guys who are big Warhammer players, and it's a tongue in cheek. They take the piss a bit out of Warhammer, but it's really funny. You don't have to know Warhammer, but if you know Warhammer, you'll like it. You'll like it more. Look up Space King.
You'll have to send me a link to that, and I'll check it out definitely.
Okay, I'll get it right here because it's pretty huge. It's pretty huge. I'll find it for you. I'll put it in the chat there. But it's you'll like it. Cam will get it. Your
assistant's going to do it for you. So
my assistant. Cam normally takes a little more. He talks a little more, but he's not a big video game guy. He's more a board game and comic book guys. But yeah.
Has anything been mentioned here, Cam, that's made you think, do you know what, actually, maybe I'll try that?
Well, it's not like he hasn't played. Like he was into the Star Wars stuff.
I've played lots of video games, but the 4X, I'm fairly limited on that. I do have the Sins of the Solar Empire, but I've got very little time on it. So,
Sins is a bit better with like playing head to head. Like if you want to play multiplayer, it's a little easier to do with that. It's more kind of set up for that. That's probably the biggest. I don't know if you'd agree or not, Al, but it's kind of easiest to set up with 4 guys or 8 people you want to go head to head, or a couple of AIs and stuff. It's probably easier that way.
I think so, because I think that and certainly with Sins 2 as well. With Sins of the Solar Empire 2, which is out now as well. I think it's a situation where they didn't. I'll have to be, I can be fact checked on this, but they didn't release it with a campaign. So a lot of these games.
I have not played Sins 2 at all. I mean, I have Sins 1. I like it. It's fine, but it's not as deep. But it's much. It would be much easier to play. Like you take a couple hours and you play a game with a couple of buddies and it's over, right? Somebody wins. Yeah. It's not like 40, 100 hours to like a Stellaris game would be much longer. Anyway,
well, I've always avoided multiplayer gaming. Don't get me wrong, I do play occasionally, but I've always avoided competitive multiplayer gaming because I want to play games to relax and enjoy it rather than be stressed out by being the best and being the fastest and dealing with the meta and this is the particular way you need to go in order to win. And I think this is why you say that Sins is probably geared up towards that, because there was no single player campaign, I believe, when it first came out, and with Dawn of War, which you asked about, again, there's a very competitive multiplayer scene, and that seems to be a feature of real-time strategy games. But there's also a really hammy Warhammer 40k campaign that you get to take part in as well.
You like hammy, you'll like Space Game.
I'll definitely check it out after this. So Dawn of War was released in 2004, and it was just excellent. It brought together two of my favorite things. It brought together Warhammer 40k, which the universe I think is just so immense and so awesome, and real-time strategy games. They brought them all together. I've been playing RTS since Command & Conquer in 1995.
So before we go, we should say, just when we're talking about RTS, real-time strategy, we're talking about, the granddaddy is probably Command & Conquer, but those style of games, right? Like, I think most of the audience probably knows. Jeff is
Command & Conquer, StarCraft. StarCraft is a very, very popular one. I always fell onto the Command & Conquer side of things rather than the StarCraft side. But there's something out there for everyone. So with this, I've been watching for a Dawn of War 4, a sequel or a remaster for a long time. And last month, they released the definitive edition. I thought, okay, that's what all of the rumors have been pointing towards. And then about a week later, they announced that they're making Dawn of War 4. And I was just like, I'm so excited to go and play it. It'll be next year, we think, by the time it's released.
And what is the buzz on? It's pretty positive, I think.
Oh, massively so, because the first Warhammer is huge, isn't it? It's one of the biggest fictional universes, I think, right now. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'm sure that people will agree or disagree, but I think that Warhammer is on par with Star Wars and Star Trek as one of the main science fiction universes in terms of fandom.
You think so?
Yeah. Do you disagree?
I would disagree simply because there's movies for Star Wars, Star Trek, and that inevitably more of the normies will know about it. The fandom for 40K would probably not be quite as big, but simply it's just because of reach and the media. Now those fans might be a little more rabid, a little more there's a lot of Star Wars fans who are like, oh, Star Wars, but it's okay because it's just it's got a. I think my personal opinion is Star Wars is the biggest IP in the within the world right now. There's nothing that's you can go to almost anybody anywhere and say Darth Vader and they will know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But not to say it's the best. You don't have to be but I would say yes. I would agree that Warhammer is quite big as well.
You don't have to be
fiction side of it.
You don't have to be the best to be popular, and the way I describe this is it's the McDonald's fallacy. Millions of hamburgers are sold worldwide daily. It doesn't mean it's the best just because it's popular. We can. I can talk all day about Star Wars, but you was asking about.
Let's go. I'm just. So I don't know much about Dawn of War 4. I said I didn't play the things, but I have been hearing that there's a bit of a buzz behind it. So I'm kind of curious. Maybe our audience can be someone in the audience who's like, oh, hey, I should look for this because this interests me. That's the kind of way I'm approaching it. But yeah.
So a brief history. So Dawn of War was released in 2004, and it was really well received. This is at the end of the or towards the end of the RTS golden age, when those were the games that everybody was playing. Dawn of War 2, they tried to compete with the way that RTS was going into like MOBAs and battle royales and all this kind of stuff. Dawn of War 3, they realized their mistake and tried to bring it back and try to be the best of both worlds, and failed to actually achieve anything in either one. The developers of Dawn of War 4, which is King Art Games, who made Iron Harvest, which is another RTS, they are taking their inspiration from the original game. So it's a return to the classic RTS gameplay: base building, different factions, territory control. So it's going back to what we loved about the first game, and it's setting it on the same planet where one of the expansions from the first game took place as well. So it's almost like paying homage to the 21-year-old game in the fourth iteration of the series.
Mm-hmm. So it's got good buzz so far. I mean, I'm very skeptical about good buzz because we've always seen there's always somebody that loves whatever and they'll push it, and then you're disappointed. But video games are a little different than movies in the sense that usually you get a fairly good you can get I find a little more of a sense of there's the fanboys who push anything, but there's also people are like, oh, this aspect makes it better than you might think, that kind of thing. But yeah,
there is a good buzz. I mean, of course, there's the proof of the pudding is always in the tasting, right? So it might smell delicious coming out of the kitchen, but when you stick your spoon in, it's terrible. So
the thing is that, the thing is that modern video games now, a lot of them are they're trying to especially if there's something that's that might be something new or not based on an old property. They will there's a lot of dev diaries, and the devs are talking, spending a lot of time talking about how they're developing their game, and you can watch it sort of step by step, and they really give a lot of some of them give a lot of information, and you can really get a good sense of how the game is being developed, and whether much more than a movie, right? Because a movie, you get a trailer or something, and a bunch of people say, yeah, this is really good. That's it. This is much more. I think you can nowadays, depending on the dev, you can get a lot better sense of where the game's going and if it will be good. And go ahead.
No, I would agree, and I think that you're talking about interactive entertainment, and I think that the fans of interactive entertainment, they want to be interacted with, and that's why you see a lot of this. The dev diaries, King Art Games, the people that are making Dawn of War 4, when they made Iron Harvest, they launched it via Kickstarter, or they supported it via Kickstarter. And of course, if you are doing a Kickstarter, you want to be very, very engaged with your audience. You want, hey, this is what we're building. This is how we're building it. It's vital that you have that community input in order to make your product a success, compared to legacy media. Movies. There's your trailer. There's your 2-minute trailer, which has got all the best bits of the movie. Okay, I'll go and watch that. Whereas, I think that, and this might offend people, but I think that video gamers on the whole are a little bit more discerning. You want to see, because I'm going to invest.
Well, yeah.
10 hours or 40 hours or 100 hours, or in the case of Stellaris, almost 7,000 hours I've just checked. I'm gonna dedicate a vast amount of my free time to this, so I want to make sure that it's going to be something which I will enjoy.
And with video games going at anywhere from sort of $40 to $80 US now, and the amount of time you're going to spend in it, you want to be a movie's $20 or less, and you're like, oh, okay, it sucked. Oh well. It was 2.5 hours of my life or whatever. But I think that video gamers are usually generally a little more discerning in that sense, because it's like you said, much longer.
It's a bigger investment.
Yeah,
it's a bigger dollar investment, but it's also a bigger time investment. But the way that I would compare it to movies is that it's much more value for money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I might pay $40 for or £40. Let's be. I might pay
So
£40
$80.
for. Yeah, something like that. I might pay that for a video game, and I might pay £10 to go and see a movie, but I'm going to get 10 times the entertainment out of the video game than I am from the movie. You go and you sit for 2 hours and you enjoy it, and it was great. I really enjoyed it, and you have a bit of a chat about it afterwards with whoever you went to the movie with. Video game is going to occupy my time for a significantly longer period of time. There's a whole excuse me, there's a whole issue at the moment with people complaining about inflation and the price of video games. I'm not paying $80, $100 for that. It's ridiculous. But when you break it down in terms of hourly value, it's far, far better value than what movies are.
Yeah.
And this is maybe why there's I was doing some research into how popular games are compared to movies now, and
way more popular.
Well, I think just on pure dollar value, I think it was in 2023, the entire box office made $42 billion worldwide, and video games made $184 billion worldwide in the same year. So it's 4 times as lucrative. And this is where the future's going. This is why you see video games which are costing multi hundreds of millions of dollars to make, because people are saying, well, this is where the future lies. Interactive entertainment is in the ascendancy, and movies are not. That's just a fact of the world that we live in.
I mean, I remember, it was over 20 years ago. I was, talking to my buddies about this, and we were going, and we were having discussions like, listen, video games are going to quickly eclipse the movie industry. The movies are going to be, and sure enough, like you said, you've got the numbers. And it probably eclipsed them 15 years ago or something like that, beat them. But I mean, video games are way bigger, in that sense than Hollywood.
Massively so, yeah, massively so. And I can see. I mean, I've got kids, and my youngest is 4, and I can see a situation where if not him, then his children will never see the inside of a cinema. Which is sad, because I think there's a joy in going to the movies and sitting and the lights are off and surround sound, and it's a joyful experience. But I think you're going to get to a point where cinemas are closing all over the place here in the UK, have been for
the
last decade.
Really?
They're closing down, and if people blame Netflix, they blame streaming services, and that plays a part in it. I watched the new Avengers Thunderbolts. Is it Thunderbolts? Which only came out this year, and I watched it on Disney Plus this weekend. Yeah. I remember from my youth, you'd be waiting a year, 18 months, 2 years before you could see something which had been on at the cinema. And streaming services are part of the death of cinema, but I think that video games are so huge in terms of money, and investors follow the money. Why would you invest in the next movie that costs $600 million to make for a slice of that $42 billion, when you can invest $600 million in this new video game that they're making and take a slice of $184 billion? So money makes the world go round, man. It's a fact of life.
That's right. I wanted to transfer. When we were talking about Dawn of War 4, I wanted to transition that into a discussion on Menace, because I think that is a game where they've got, you've got dev diaries going out every week on that. Those guys are pretty big on putting out information, and I think this is one of the ones that I'm particularly myself are watching. I think you guys have been watching on your channel as well. Do you want to talk about Menace a little bit?
I mean, again, it's due to be released. I think that they delayed it recently. I think.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out. I think. Maybe it was the 14th. I think it was maybe the 12th or something. September. They were supposed to release. Maybe it was the 17th. They were supposed to release a demo, and I was kind of looking forward to it. But then they've delayed that. They've said, no, we're not going to release a demo. But I'm not surprised.
and I can't wait to try it because it is. It's taken a lot of what I enjoy about sci-fi. You know, you are a. It's very, like the Alien movies, the way that it's kind of realistic. There's no space wizards like you get in Star Wars. It's very everything has a use. Everything's utilitarian, isn't it? You know, there's a reason for everything existing, and it looks very similar to Aliens in the way. I think somebody on one of our videos pointed out that there's a Aliens power lifter in, like a model of the power lifter in the
really?
In the video for in one of the trailers for Menace. But you if I remember rightly, you play as you run a ship in a solar system, and you need to take your spaceship with space marines on it, and you need to take it to crisis points to intervene. There's rebels, there's pirates, there's aliens, and you are the last line of defense for humanity, and you need to defend against these threats, which are these factions which are threatening your colonies on different planets within this solar system.
Yeah, I thought it was a mercenary company, but maybe not. But you're kind of isolated. You have to use it's not like you get whatever you want, the military. Oh, well, let's just request a nuclear bomb. No problem.
It's resource management, isn't it? It's a case of,
So,
but it also features.
Go ahead.
So it also features permadeath as well. So, and I think this is a really cool thing that we're seeing. I mean, we saw it in XCOM, and it's becoming more prevalent. It's in the new Star Wars game, which was announced recently.
Keep that to the end.
That's all right. That's all I've said about that.
No, that's
so. In Menace, your one particular squad of Space Marines, the more battles they fight, the stronger they become, the more effective they become. And then when they get killed, they're gone. So there becomes an emotional connection. And this is what you found in XCOM, that you developed an emotional connection with your virtual digital characters because of what they'd actually been through. And then when they were killed in a mission, you felt that loss. And I think that Menace is going down that line where you will develop an affinity for this particular squad because they did this in this particular mission, or they saved this other settlement in this other mission, and then you play a campaign mission and they're killed, and then you kind of feel that loss.
Yeah. I kind of describe it as Menace. It seems to me it's like XCOM, but there are additional layers whereby you've got your squad that it's going to go down, and it's going to whatever the mission is, but there's a series of within a certain planet or whatever, there's a series of missions, might be a number of missions, and you branch. You're not going to do all the missions, you're going to branch and do certain missions. Each mission will give you awards. So there's a sort of the operational level a little bit more that is giving you a little more. You've got the high level stuff. I'm going to go to this planet or that planet or whatever. Then you get there, and then you've got a bunch of different missions. You can only choose certain amounts of them. They're going to give you different rewards. Then you actually have to go down and do each mission, which would be more like an XCOM turn-based move. Tactically move here and stuff, but a little more complicated too. Like all kinds of different weapons systems and armors and all kinds of stuff. But I think maybe you know more than I do.
Well, it's about the decision-making process, isn't it? Because I think that it isn't linear, and I think that we're moving away from linear mission structures in these games, where you must complete mission 1 to move on to mission 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5. You're moving away from that because developers are realizing that people want choice. They want the ability to feel that they're in control. So rather than I must get through this mission in order to progress, okay, I wasn't successful there, I'm going to try a different path. Or you could have a situation where 2 of your settlements come under attack at the same time. Well, which one do you go and defend? Because you have limited resources, and that resource scarcity is something which I think is really popular in these kind of video games because it forces you to make difficult decisions. And games are great in terms of for developing critical thinking skills and the ability to balance risk and reward. So, yeah, it's there'll be more on that as on Menace. When we're hoping to speak to the developers, we've reached out to them already, and just hoping that they get back to us. Let's see if we can get them on to talk about their game, because that would be excellent.
That would be awesome. I mean, I think that's a big one to watch. One of the bigger ones coming out that people are watching. For that style. It's not really 4X grand strategy what we're talking about, but it's we're kind of going off. Before there's a couple others I want to mention, but the chat's talking about Battlestar Galactica game. I'm kind of curious, have anyone tried Battlestar Galactica? Jeff says, but which one do you mean? You mean Deadlock? I have it.
I think it means Deadlock. Yeah, I have it, but I tried it. I've never been a huge fan of Battlestar Galactica, and I think that I'm often drawn into things. So I love Warhammer 40k, so I'll play any Warhammer 40k game. I love Star Wars. I'll play any Star Wars game. Was never really a huge fan of Battlestar. So I launched it, and I just didn't get the feel, because I didn't feel like I was drawn into the universe like I am for the ones which I prefer.
Yeah. But it's fairly popular, and I think it's it's very positive. It's fairly positively reviewed and stuff. I think it's a good game. There's nothing, it just doesn't. Yeah, they're still updating it.
There's a DLC came out recently.
Yeah, they've got DLCs that have come out, and I mean, it's not it's been updated and stuff. I think there's some good aspects of it. It's kind of different in that I think it's more like it's kind of more in the style of Warhammer 40k Gothic Fleet, right? Would that be
yeah,
you're moving a ship.
Yeah,
you're deciding moving. It's a little more detailed. I got to move my ship this way. You start to turn this many, your broadsides, only these weapons can fire, that kind of stuff. So it's a little more that style of
I think that Battlestar is turn-based, if I remember rightly. I think it might be, whereas
a lot of those games are they're kind of doing real time, but it's you're like, okay, well, we're gonna turn to the right, and then we're gonna fire these weapon systems, and the enemy's gonna do this, and then you sort of press go, and everybody does their thing, and then you sort of see the effects, and then you go from there. So I think if you're talking about Deadlock, that's what you're talking about, Jeff. If you want to mention that, I think it's pretty good, pretty popular. It's not not really my wheelhouse, but I do have it. And I do try to. I shouldn't try. It's just not enough time. Have we talked? We didn't really talk about Moo 2, but
we didn't really
mention it.
Yeah, we mentioned it because I think it falls into Master of Orion was really the first space. Master of Orion was where the 4X. We're covering our ground, but it's where the 4X genre came from. That was where it was a journalist who coined it, and just through his review of the game spawned this entire subgenre of strategy games. So we didn't really cover it because it's not one that I've played a lot of, but it's very similar to Distant Worlds, to Stellaris. It's a 4X game.
I played Moo, the original, and Moo 2, both great games. Moo 3, I guess, I was so looked forward to that game coming out. Quite disappointed by it.
They made a third?
I think it was the third one. Yeah, the third one was, it was very disappointing. It was just basically, it was like I was on, it was on rails. It was just not good. But we were talking more about, we're trying to focus more on the, the what's coming out and stuff. Okay, so PB saying I like it, and if you're a Naval War fan, it's even better. I think they're talking about Deadlock. Get in there. I think you're right too. It's that style of move your ships, and then they're gonna. I think if you like that style of naval warfare with naval ships or spaceships, I think it's much more like that.
It's a
Deadlock.
It's a tactical game rather than a strategy game. I think there's there's a difference between them. So when we're talking about Stellaris and Master of Orion and Distant Worlds, these are strategy games where you manage your empire and you manage the strategic focus of your particular faction, where your Deadlocks and your Battlefleet Gothics, which is, again, an excellent 40k game, it's more focused on the actual fleet combat and the interactions of the factions when it comes to the fight, rather than the overarching, what is the focus of my empire? So there's two different ways that these games are approached. Either you get that strategic overview, or you're focused on I'm now going to go and win this battle. So yeah.
All right. So so two others that I want to mention. I don't know if you have heard of these ones. Have you Fragile Existence, Falling Frontier? Either of those?
Falling Frontier looks like it could be very, very interesting. I think it's almost like The Expanse, the TV show. I think it's very much based on that in terms of the themes that it is employing.
Frontier,
and it. Again, it's real time, and it's a lot of it is about the actual fleet battles, which we mentioned earlier in the show about scale, and this is an attempt. It's actually a solo developer. It's one person making this Falling Frontier. So we might not see it for a long time, but
Hooded Horse is supposed to publish it, but
I think they are the publisher. But it's going to be about the distances that interstellar ships would fight over.
Yeah.
As in, when you fire your torpedoes at another ship, the distances are so vast that it's all about the maneuvering and positioning and things like that.
Yeah.
So
it's
more like it's certainly on my radar.
Yeah, it's more like Deadlock. Now, Fragile Existence. Have you heard of that one?
It's also I've heard of it. But I haven't. Yeah.
I'll give a little on that
into
one.
It. Yeah. Okay.
I've looked at a little bit. It's one that I'm sort of watching a little bit different. Less on the tactical side, but it's save the humanity from the brink of extinction. Travel among the stars, seek out resources, establish and develop colonies, and sustain civilization. Go your military to push back against an overwhelming threat. So a bit of a storyline. So I think you're going from there. You're going to sort of a star system or some sort of system. You kind of land your ships or some of them on the planet. You try to extract a bunch of resources for whatever, and eventually you're going to have to take off because someone's going to show up and try to blow you up or find you. And so it's that kind of a bit of a cat and mouse. It kind of a homeworld vibe in that sense to the storyline, but I think more of a sort of the real-time base building strategy type stuff in the sense, because you're like, I'll take my fleet over here, I'll land some ships on the planet, extract as much resources, and then disappear. So
it looks like there's a lot of 4X elements in in Fragile Existence, isn't there, as well?
Yeah, less on the detailed tactical like Falling Frontier or Deadlock or anything like that, but
and it's Hooded Horse again. So I mean, they are huge. Hooded Horse are massive with strategy games. They champion a lot of indie developers as well,
and they seem to be picking good stuff too. Like everything is is high quality, at least not garbage. So Mu 2 was bad. All right. Okay. Is there what about? I wanted to mention this because I'm watching them. Is there any others that you want to? We're getting near 2 hours, so we don't want to keep you much longer than that. Is there any other games that you're watching that you want to mention, science fiction related, or doesn't have to be 4X, just something the audience could know? Hey, watch this. Keep your eyes open.
There's a couple, and I'll start with one which is another indie developer. It's a game called Sanctuary Shattered Sun. So if anybody who's listening to this has played Total Annihilation or Supreme Commander, and I know you played Supreme Commander, this is the developer for Supreme Commander, a guy called Chris Taylor, who, if I ever met him out, I think I'd squeal like a little fangirl. He said of Sanctuary Shattered Sun, it's the spiritual successor to the games that they made, which is high praise for an indie game, you know.
Yeah, I just before, we didn't mention bar, but I've tried to get into bar. I don't like I really like Supreme Commander's ability to zoom in and out, and I know bar is very popular, but I'm just like, I don't like this. I can't see this thing. I don't know what's going on. I prefer Supreme Commander to bar, but anyway,
they're kind of in the same ecosystem, aren't they?
Yeah, maybe I'm just old, but the whole zooming in and out. I mean, that's every RTS should have that. Otherwise, yeah. But anyway, that's my
when they made Supreme Commander, I think it might have been around 2007, and this is where the strategic zoom came in, and the way that Chris Taylor described it, he says most RTS is like you've got your head in a sandbox, and you can see only certain things. And he said, so we have this system of the strategic zoom where you can zoom all the way out and you can see the entire battlefield, or you can zoom in and you can watch these two units shooting at each other.
I cannot play an RTS without that now. It's just like, what the hell? Like, what's going on over there?
Well,
what's this noise?
It's become industry standard, hasn't it? It's become industry standard. But the way that, so the timeline is Total Annihilation was an exceptional real-time strategy game, and Beyond All Reason bar that you've mentioned is essentially a mod of Total Annihilation, which has been in development for 20 years. So there's huge amounts of history, and it's closer to Total Annihilation than Supreme Commander is. Supreme Commander is by the same people who made Total Annihilation. It's their updated version. They made a Subcom 2, but Supreme Commander 2 wasn't particularly well received because they had to dumb it down for a console release. Again, money was involved. Square Enix acquired gas-powered games, and they said we want to score on Xbox as well, so they had to reduce the scale. They never made a Supreme Commander 3, but Sanctuary Shattered Sun is, a lot of people look at it and they say, is this by the same people that made Supreme Commander? Because it has that, the layers and the way that Chris Taylor described Supreme Commander applies to Sanctuary. Says you've got your spy satellites and you've got nuclear weapons going off at one level, then spy planes, and then bombers and fighters and tanks and submarines and ships, and you've got all these different strata of theaters of war where you can interact in. And then, of course, they interact with each other as well. So that's one that I'm absolutely looking forward to, Sanctuary Shattered Sun.
Yeah, and they've been working on that for quite some time, from what I understand. Like, I think I've been sort of aware of it for a couple of years now.
It's been a few years. It's a very small team. It's a small team of indie developers who are trying to recapture what RTS games were like around the time of Supreme Commander. So the undertaking is massive, it's huge, and they're so talented and so passionate. And I speak to them a lot. I'm involved in the community there, so I speak to them a lot. If you look at and Dev Diaries as well, you mentioned about Dev Diaries. I have interviewed the producer for the game on several occasions, and they're on the Sanctuary YouTube channel. So they are very interested in giving their audience an overview, or certainly a look into what they're actually working on.
The game takes place on the inside of a Dyson sphere, which is kind of an interesting.
The outside.
The outside of it.
Yeah.
Oh. So the Dyson sphere is supposed to be around the sun. How does it? Oh.
Well, this is the thing. This is the thing. So it's Sanctuary is a Dyson sphere built around our sun, and the story goes that it was built for humanity. It was their sanctuaries where they would go and live forever. But then, of course, factional warfare takes place. There's the transfer of consciousness into robot bodies by the chosen faction, and then the EDF, the other human faction, they decide we actually don't want to become robots. We don't want to become cyborgs. We want to stay as baseline human. They start the war, and then the final faction, the Guard, they are sanctuaries builders who become its protectors, and they are tasked with stopping the war by destroying the other faction. So yeah, it's on the outside of the Dyson Sphere, and a lot of people say, because Dyson Sphere is a huge thing in terms of sci-fi. You get them in Stellaris, don't you, as well?
Yeah.
So
Stellaris has every science fiction trope you could think of is in Stellaris, and some you probably don't even think of.
So in Sanctuary, there's a thing where you can actually destroy the map. So you have certain weapons where you would fire them and they will destroy the map, and it opens the sphere, and then your units will fall down and your base will fall down into the sun. And I've seen it in action, and it looks excellent. It just looks so incredible to see it actually happen. But the way some people say, well, why is there sunlight? Which is very
on the outside
of the
sphere.
Very, very fair question. So there's holes which have been left in Sanctuary to allow the sun out, and there's huge orbital mirrors which then direct the sunlight back onto the surface of Sanctuary, and they can angle the mirrors so that you get hot areas, cold areas, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Because there's weather control. You've got bridges and skyscrapers you can build, I guess, or destroy or whatever. It should be interesting.
One of the other, so as well as being able to shatter, so destroy the actual map that you're fighting on, there's also freeze. There's a freeze mechanic, so you may be denied access to a particular part of the map because of the water, and you can freeze the seas and then roll your tank straight across it.
Right on. All right. That's another one to watch. Definitely. Any others?
The last one I mentioned is Star Wars Zero Company, because this is another turn-based game, it's been made by Bit Reactor, who are the people that made XCOM. So it's a lot of people, they're calling it Star Wars XCOM. So it's set during the Clone Wars, which is a period of Star Wars which hasn't really been covered in games very much. Mm-hmm. And you play as Zero Company, which is almost like a mercenary company involved in this, involved in the Clone Wars. So you will very similar to Battle Brothers in the way that you sorry, not Battle Brothers, sorry, Menace. Battle Brothers are by the same people that made Menace. Very similar to Menace in the way that you will choose which mission to go and take on, and it also features permadeath as well. So you may have created, because there's a huge character creation part of it as well. You can build your company however you see fit, and you may have this one particular character who has been through the entirety of the campaign with you, and then you go on a mission and they're killed, and that's it. There's no second life. They're gone, and it changes the narrative of the campaign because you've lost one of your characters. So Star Wars Zero Company is looking really, really good. As a Star Wars fan, it looks really, really good.
Is that one now? That one's. I mean, it says coming 2026, but there's not much information about that. Like, it's fairly new announcement, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It was only it was only announced this year.
Oh, okay. So it hasn't been.
So it's
it hasn't been. It's been announced not too long ago, right? It was announced that in Japan at Star Wars Celebration, which was in like May or something. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It was Star Wars Celebration Japan, of this year. I mean, there's been rumors that they were working on a Star Wars strategy game. There was.
I don't think there's much info out about it, right? Like there's a trailer. I'm just looking at the website. There's a trailer. It doesn't seem like they're keeping it close to their chest so far. But
Yeah, I mean, I have I do have. I think I mentioned I have websites, quite a few. If you go to swzerocompany.com, that's my website all about Star Wars Zero Company. So there's many different articles about what to expect, what the confirmed planets which are in the game, the confirmed races that are in the game, the confirmed characters that are in the game. So I've tried to bring it all together in one place because there isn't a lot of information out there.
Sorry, what was that again?
I'll drop it into the I'll drop it into the chat.
Okay, yeah, just drop it. I'll pop it in. All right. Okay, was that? I think that might be the last. Is that the last one you wanted to mention? I've pretty much mentioned the ones I'm coming to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean it's there's so many games which are coming out. It's very difficult to keep track of all of them. But the ones that we've mentioned are the ones which I'm particularly interested in. So, but yeah, I'm conscious we've been going for 2 hours and people are falling asleep, and it's 6 a.m. here. So
good night, Weatherman. We're about to finish up right now, anyway. So that link that I dropped in is a link to Al's website that talks specifically about and gets a bunch of information on that game. If anybody wants to check that out, if you're interested in a Star Wars XCOM style game, get more information there. All right. Okay. I guess that's about all we wanted to mention. Just mention, we've been trying to do this after the show. I'll jump into the Discord and into the chat if anybody wants to hang out there. We'll do that. Al, what about what would you like to mention from your good night, Weatherman. What would you like to mention from your channel?
Ooh,
what do you got upcoming? What?
So we have we release every Friday. We've been going for less than a year, so we're very new in the podcasting space, and it's all self-taught. I have no no idea what I'm doing some of the time. But episode 47 comes out this Friday, and this is our people who are interested in 4X games. This is our 4X apology episode where we brought on the experts from the Explominate podcast and in order to talk about 4X games. So if you're interested in 4X games, that's a really good one to go and check out. That's this Friday. It comes out 4 p.m. GMT, so whatever that would translate to in CST is like 7 hours earlier or something like that. So that's on Friday. And then the one after that is, I can't remember. But yeah, episode 47 is this Friday about 4X games. We've done a lot of interviews with game developers. One of the games we never mentioned, which is AI War 2, which I think that people would love if you're a science fiction fan.
Yeah, it's a favorite of mine.
Never mentioned that. Yeah,
we didn't really talk about it. More of an RTS though.
Yeah, and we never got the chance. We interviewed the developer, Chris Park. We interviewed him over 2 episodes because he's so fascinating. It's such a lot to talk about. So that's worth checking out. That 2-part interview with Chris McElligott Park. We're doing the best we can. It's we've released without fail every Friday for the last 47 weeks. It's been fun. I'm enjoying the process.
Yeah, I would say, go ahead and check out Critical Move stuff. I was just recently, I recommend I only saw the part 1 of the Chris Park interview. I enjoyed that one. I got to see the second one. There's all kinds of stuff that he's got about, 4X grand strategy type games. You're talking about, Ashes of the Singularity 2. Oh, we didn't mention that one. That's another one. You're talking about Bar. You've got, you're talking a little bit about, Sins of a Solar Empire, Stellaris, the new Stellaris DLC, bunch of stuff about RTS, Dawn of War, more detailed things like that. But that Chris Park interview, that's a good get, man. I'm pretty. I wouldn't mind, interviewing him about. Did you talk with him in the second thing about like the last Federation at all, or did you mention he had another game that he was working on before AI War 2 that he was going to put out, which died. He decided to go with AI War 2. I forget what it was called.
I think the last Federation was released, so that one didn't die. That one was
the last Federation is old. I'd be curious to ask him about that because it's older game, but the way it's quite different, eh?
I think that the most recent game he did is called Heart of the Machine.
Yeah, before that he was working on something. I had it on my wish list forever, and then they decided to do AI War 2 instead of this, but it had a very different idea for that one. It was very unusual. Forget the name of it, but I'll find it. But
so do I forget. But he's talked in his interview about how he kind of was almost forced to be a strategy game developer because that's what people wanted to see from him. So he's tried to dabble in other genres as well, and this is probably the one which you're talking about there, where he looked at it and explored it, but because it didn't have the same,
it was a great idea, I thought, and I was following it. It was at the top of my wish list forever, and then he decided, look, I'm going to do AOR 2 because it's a sure thing. People have been asking for it, and the other one was much more difficult to do.
Well, he's on our Discord, man. So come and harass him.
Oh, is he? Oh,
yeah.
I'll find out I want Snob to convince him I should get his game in addition to Stellaris, which is my game. I didn't make a game.
Distant Worlds.
You talking about Distant Worlds? I prefer it myself, but that's not to say that Stellaris is not a good game. It's a good game. Just those two aspects that I mentioned in the show, the sense of scale and the economy that is I think is more realistic. I mean, I would do, if I was ever to make a 4X game, those two things I would steal for sure. I'd be like, yeah, we're going to do the economy like that. It's much easier. You're not playing, fine, I got to get minerals and do this. No, just let the economy do it and let you have to, you should be the big guy, right? You should be like, we're not getting enough, Emperor, we're not getting enough minerals. Well, the pirates are stealing all our stuff. All right, send a fleet to wipe out those stupid pirates. All right, yes, sir. But anyway, that's just my own opinion. But I don't have to convince anybody. Do I? You want me to convince you? I'll try. I'll see what you think. But check it out. Like whatever. People like different things. They're all still good. Okay. Check out that interview. I think is a great get. I'm gonna watch the second half of that. I wanted to finish it. Yeah, a lot of good stuff on Hal's podcast. So,
thank you, appreciate that. It's we're very new, so it's really it's nice to know that people are enjoying listening to it.
Yeah, great. Anything else you wanted to mention?
No, I'm happy with that. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, great.
I'm surprised we've gone over 2 hours. Wasn't expecting.
I'm not surprised. We're trying to keep it down. We're trying to. Cam, are you still there? Are you live?
Sir. He's falling asleep.
Next time we'll do comics and board games and stuff, and I'll basically the chat will bug me and say that I'm a passenger on my own show, like last time. But
we can talk about 4X board games at some point.
That's true. We talked about doing something about that, but we'll keep that quiet for the audience. Tempt them. All right, coming up on our show next week. On this show, it's going to be movie night. We're going to do Dragon Slayer. So we're going to, follow the links on the show to watch Dragon Slayer. You can watch it on the Internet Archive or wherever you want. And then we're going to talk about it on the show. Yeah. What else do we got, Cam?
On Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern, we have Babylon 5 retrospective, episode 14 from season 2. There All the Honor Lies.
And is this a good one or?
I don't remember that much about it. I haven't rewatched it yet. I think it is though. It involves some Minbari stuff.
I cheated and I watched it. I watched it last week because I couldn't miss it. It's got some Minbari stuff. It's got some Lanier. I was like, I'm gonna mention this when we talk about it. But Lanier is like kicking some ass, and he's coming into his balls, so to speak. Eh? He's like standing up for stuff and he's telling people what to do. And I'm like, oh, he's showing some leadership. I was pretty impressed with that. I'm like, oh, that's a good, move for Lanier.
Yeah, Lanier is awesome.
Yeah, I like him too. He's good. I like to see him, be a little more involved in doing stuff. So yeah, that should be good. All right. Yeah. So that's it for next week. Merchandising. Oh yeah, so you're gonna push the B plot is all about merchandising on Babylon 5. So it's a little kind of funny. Merchandising. All right. That's it, I guess. Cam, do you have any last minute? Did we miss anything? Is that it?
No, I just I'll thank Al for getting up at the crack of dawn and
yeah. Thanks again, Al. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So make sure you go and check out Al's Discord and check out his thing, subscribe and all that stuff. So yeah, that's it. We didn't miss anything. We're all done.
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Wait a second. I'm pretty sure we missed something. What about jokes? We always do jokes to end the show.
Oh,
we forget about the jokes.
Then I will defer to our guest and allow him to be the target of these jokes.
See, jokes.
I'm not very funny.
No,
I'm not very funny.
You don't have to do the jokes.
Neither snob.
You got to be the. No, I'm very funny. You got to be the target of the jokes.
Okay.
The recipient of the jokes.
The recipient. Now, what do you? Al, I mean, you're the guest. You don't have to be. Do you have a joke that you want to? Cam is supposed to be the target. You don't have to be the target. It's up to you.
I can be the target.
You want to be the target? All right.
I do have a fascinating fact.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Remember that if you don't laugh, then I win, and if you laugh, you win. Right?
All
so
right.
It's the opposite. You're supposed to not laugh. That's the whole point of the joke. You have something you want to? Do you have a joke or something you want to do before?
I'll tell you my fascinating fact is that
okay, go.
You never ever stop clapping.
What?
You never ever stop clapping. It's just the distance between claps changes.
I get it. All right. I'll have to think about it.
Anyway, continue with your jokes.
Okay. All right. Let me see. Which one is? It's always a fight to figure out which one I should do first, or you try to end on the best one. Okay. This is sort of. I broke up with my video game console. Now it's my Xbox. Nothing personal. It's just time for a Switch.
Yeah, it was good. That
Get it? Get it?
I'll get
Because
that.
the Xbox is Xbox
And the Switch. Yeah.
Switch is a Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
You like Nintendo?
I like PlayStation.
PlayStation? Oh, okay.
I was a Sega boy back in the day as well.
You won't like this one.
Nintendo.
I kind of gave it away here. What kind of dough does a gamer use?
A Nintendo.
Yeah.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
They were terrible.
Yeah. Okay, last one. There's two elitist gamers. They meet and they're discussing their favorite online games. Gamer 1 says, "You play WoW? LOL." Gamer 2 says, "You play LOL? Wow."
Yeah, it's good now. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So nobody laughed. Snob wins again. Yay. Score 1 for me. All right. That's it for the show, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the jokes, or hope you didn't enjoy the jokes.
They were the worst jokes I've ever heard.
Awesome. Then we've achieved our objective.
Go ahead and check our history. You'll find better, even more atrocious ones.
I don't know. Those ones are pretty bad. You got to go back through all the 66 other things to try to. Okay, well, that's the end of the show. We'll see you guys next week. We hope you enjoyed the show. Hope we got you on some video games that you might perhaps enjoy. If Al wants to come back, we'll have him on in the future. Maybe we'll talk about, specifically about RTSs and stuff like that, because there's a lot to do in games and stuff. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully in the future. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.
by saying